Today we're talking about dark forces. And I am sometimes hesitant to go into these topics because most people are usually driven by fear through these topics. And I think that's the biggest problem is that when people are discussing them, there's usually a lot of fear around them. So I thought I would just stick to some basic fundamentals about dark forces and start with, and I also have a video on energy manipulation if you're interested in a more detailed experience of what dark forces can do. But the biggest thing to know about dark forces is that if you resist it, you become vulnerable. So, for those of you who are not familiar with dark forces or black magic or manipulation of energies, you'll want to do some research. And the reason why I don't ever give my clients specific places to go and find things is because you have to be willing to do your own research and use your critical thinking and understand what is at play. Because energy, there's no one delineation of energy. There's multiple paths, multiple sources of information, and you might resonate with one person over another. And so, you really just need to do your own research. But what you must know that if you are not aware about how dark forces operate, then you become a target. You can actually be manipulated. Your energies will vibrate differently if you are being influenced and manipulated um, by these dark forces. And the biggest manipulation is fear. Fear is how these dark forces operate, and those are vulnerabilities, and these weaken you structurally, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So you want to do that. The second thing that I want to talk about is shadow work. And that's another thing that you can research. I happen to love shadow work. It's always been interesting to me. I see myself very much like an investigator of energy. And I have always thought that shadow work was so interesting. And it is interesting because it really brings the darkness to the light. And when you are able to take what you don't know and bring your awareness to it, shift it with your awareness, attention, your light energy, it changes how that in the shadow operates. Because it can't operate the same when you have conscious awareness that is brought to it. So, shadow work is so important. If you are on the path of self discovery, shadow work is something you have to do. Um, and everybody does it differently. I happen to have my own forte in doing it. I'm sure you can find multitude of books on it. For me, I'm all about how do I get to the root fastest? What's the causation? But other people have different processes. So look and see what resonates with you. For me, I'm like, pull the band aid off and let me see. Some people like a really slow roll into uncovering the unknown. For me, I'm like, bring it. I'm ready. I am ready. Let me see. I want to see. I want to see. I want to know. I want to know. And that's what shadow work is all about. It's just like an expansion of your conscious awareness so you can grow and evolve quicker. So that's a fast track. And then the other thing is if you're not willing to see the darkness or understand how dark force energy works, you can't be fearless because the manipulation is fear, anxiety, depression, fear, 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 fear. And you cannot be fearless if you're not willing to go into the darkness and be fearless in the presence of some really ugly, ugly, evil, yucky stuff. Um, and be neutral in the presence of that and be in your pure clarity and delineating what is acceptable in your realm of influence, what's acceptable in your field, and what is not. When you are not clear in those aspects, those energies will feed off of you, and specifically will feed off of your life force. And how do they do that? They do that through tentacles, cords, attachments, links, siphoning of all kinds, hooks. There are things that happen energetically that will just blow your mind. But it won't blow your mind so much if you have conscious awareness. And the more that you become aware of these aspects at play, and people really play with this stuff. And I think I heard the other day that somebody said that Beyonce was a black musician, like black magic musician, magician, like a high priestess. And so, you know, these forces are at play in the public eye, and people have no idea and how they're being manipulated. Now, I don't know for sure. I don't check into her field. I could care less. I'm not part of that. That's not something that I'm interested in knowing about her. I don't listen to her music. I don't listen to her in any way that's other than what pops up in my little scrolling that I do on Instagram. So for me, it's just interesting, right? So it doesn't bother me either way. But for you, what I would start to do is get familiar with the language, get familiar with your fears, and understanding when your fears are really hyper. You will be anxious, you will be cautious, you will be hesitant. And all these things are restrictions on your energy field, and they definitely restrict your ability to expand in consciousness. So to be fearless, you must be fearless in the light, right? That's the only place that fearlessness really exists, is when you are really owning your light force. So I hope you found this somewhat helpful. I hope you go do your shadow work. I hope you find it interesting and fun. And of course, if you need assistance, please reach out. I am Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. Have a great day.